All right, now we're going to be talking very soon with David Farrar straight after this. In fact, straight now, in actual fact, on what's been happening on the campaign trail, and particularly on the debate that's meant to be taking place, I think, tonight. I will find out in a second, and on the threats that have been made against candidates. And David Farrar joins us now. David, welcome to the show. Listen, the debate was going to happen tonight, is that right? The Christchurch press debate.
That's right.
And as I understand it, they're both calling each other, well, no, Labour are calling National chicken for chickening out, so-called, and Christopher Luxon saying, I didn't chicken out, I'm just not, your man's just not there. How do you read that? Is that just Labour trying to make, mischief, or there's...
Of course they are, because the fact is the debate was agreed to, it's scheduled, and it's unfortunate, but Chris Hipkins has COVID, so he can't make it. What then happened was, as I understand it, they said, well, can we do it this week? But the problem, as I understand it, is if you know anything, I'm sure you do, Michael, about election campaigns, they actually already have a schedule very tightly marked out for every hour of every day up until the election, where you're going to the most important seats, you've arranged meetings, etc. And basically there wasn't time to reschedule it for next week. Now, Labour, as I understand it, have said, well, maybe Luxon could debate someone who's not the Labour Party leader, but that's never going to happen. Never going to have a party leader actually do a debate with someone who's not on the same tier. National, somewhat cheekily, I have to say, because they knew Labour would never agree to it, said, well, we could turn into a deputy leader debate, because people forget this. People think either Grant Robertson or Carmel Sepuloni's the deputy leader of the Labour Party, but bizarrely it's still Kelvin Davis. He's not the deputy PM. Generally, when you're in government, your deputy leader.
Yeah, it's odd, isn't it? Yeah, you're right. Mm.
Well, it's because they know that he's not good on speaking in the House or debating, being over that wide array of issues. So what you've got...
He's thick. Basically what you're saying, he's thick. I mean, he's not intellectually up to it, and he's not articulate either, and he could make lots of mistakes.
I think, I won't use your exact terms, but they would be very, very worried about live debate for an hour with the deputy leader.
Yeah, that would be... what about Carmel Sepuloni? I don't know her, and neither does New Zealand. So could she done the job?
I actually think Nicola Willis-Carmel Sepuloni debate would actually be a good one.
Yeah, so do I. Mm.
They're both effectively competing to be Deputy Prime Minister.
Yeah.
But technically this isn't a debate between the government and the opposition. It's a debate between two political parties. And
that's right.
Because of the weirdness where they deputy leader to deputy PM, that gets in the way.
Mm. Nevertheless, listen, I do. I mean, as you know, I've organised national political campaigns for New Zealand First, or a campaign for New Zealand First before. You're absolutely right. You've got everything planned, your hope to the lowest, and you're just dealing with a mini crisis that come your way. In this particular case, you're absolutely right. He'll have key places he's got to be on certain days, and that'll all be planned out to the most minute detail. And it's not his fault that he can't debate tomorrow night or tonight in Christchurch. Nevertheless, I have to say, as a dispassionate observer, David, it does work for him, doesn't it? Really?
Oh, when you're ahead in the polls, you debates are only ones that where you can go down.
Yes, that's right.
A party that's behind in the polls that always generally wants more debate.
Yeah. Because
it's an opportunity for them to become more relevant again, etc. So, yes, absolutely, if you talk about incentive, well, as I've just said, very busy schedule, everything tied down, flying down for a debate isn't actually just 1 hour out of your schedule. It's almost the entire day to change it. But so that they're ahead in the polls there, they probably bust over backwards.
Well, let's be honest about it. He got worked over in the last election, David. He lost the last. He won the first debate, lost the second debate. And he doesn't need to risk losing a third debate, does he? Because all that to do, as you rightly say, is give momentum to the Labour Party. Why would I do that? I was going to do it anyhow. You got ill. Ta-da. Can I ask this question, though, of you? In your view, and you've polled a lot of elections, you know the insights of a lot of folk, not just national folk, but across the spectrum. Does anybody really care if he doesn't do the debate? Will anybody vote on the basis of chicken, you're not turning up for debate, I've done two, your guy's sick? Is there anybody that's going to change their vote on that basis, do you think?
No, I don't think so. It would be different if it was we had agreed to something and you've reneged on it. It would also be different if there weren't other debates coming. There is a final TVNZ debate coming on Thursday, etc. So it allows Labour to say, oh, yeah, piece chicken, etc., what like people on Twitter, etc. But if I need to remind people, there's a cost of living crisis. People can't afford to fill their car up. They can't afford to buy all the food they normally buy at the supermarket. That's probably still going to weigh much more on them than squabbling over a debate.
I agree. I didn't know. There's another debate on Thursday, is there?
Yeah, Thursday next week.
Oh, Thursday next week. Oh, 2 days before the polls officially close. Is that right?
That's right.
I can't imagine too many people watching that, to be honest with you, but I suppose there might be those.
Well, they shouldn't have them that way, actually. And even the press debate, you shouldn't have any debate after advance voting starts.
No.
And my view, I don't know why they agreed to that. And I guess we'll get to find out. I think it's around midday today they released these statistics from how many people advance voted yesterday. So it will be interesting to see if that's as large as it was last time.
Yeah. Just on that, as a general rule, and general rules do tend to be called general rules because they tend to work out. The higher the turnout, the better for the Labour Party and the left parties. The lower the turnout, the better for centre-right parties, has been the sort of aegis of the back. How are you picking this? Do you think that will also work in this particular case, that we might get a lower turnout than we got last time?
I think there will be a lower turnout. Last time was exceptionally high because I think COVID was such a motivation for people that they wanted to endorse what the government had done. So it will drop back, but not necessarily to a historically low level, just back to what you could call a bit of a normal level. I think if I was on the Labour team, I'd be very worried about motivation for my voters because they haven't managed to deliver much. They almost have stopped campaigning on any of their policies. They're just going full frontal, a scare campaign against the opposition, and that will motivate some people. But there's a lot of disillusioned young progressives there. Some of them are going to vote Greens, but, some of them are probably just, there's been so little progress the last 6 years. I'm not really that excited about a third term for Labour, so I'm just not going to vote. So I think turnout is going to be quite influential, how well the parties do to get their effective supporters out there. Because has turned down wealth tax, turned back on climate initiatives, etc. And even some of his own MPs have come out. One of them yesterday, Ingrid Leary, I think, said, I really believe in a wealth tax, but, I support the captain's call. That's not actually useful to have Labour MPs say they do want a wealth tax, but we're not doing it because that's what's been decided.
Oh, Ingrid said that on this program on other occasions, actually, because she's a regular comment. And listen, there wouldn't be a Friday that goes by she doesn't say exactly that, and she said that now for months, to be fair to her. So I'm surprised I've only just picked it up now. All right, now, but there'll be also a lot of people, she said, and she also said a lot of people in the left of the Labour caucus believe that. And obviously, they do. But here's the next bit. It's the scraps, and I find a bit weird, and this is why I also wanted to talk to you today, this argument that political candidates are somehow at danger. We've had what seems to me a great deal of heat, but not a lot of light, relating to a so-called home invasion of a Te Pāti Māori candidate, which she blames on some sort of racism in Huntly, but without any facts that would allow you to come to that conclusion. That's just my interpretation of it. David, I'll be interested in yours. We've also had the physical assault that appeared on a Labour Party list candidate, which she actually said she thanked the National Party people for helping her with in the aftermath of that. Then we had Chris Bishop come out and say some of our National Party candidates have been threatened as well, and there have been gang intimidation of a couple of them. Is this normal, or is this just we're exaggerating stuff for effect at the moment?
There may be a bit of a mixture of both. I think the assault on Angela Roberts, I call it that, is very unusual. I'm glad to see, I think it has now been referred to police, but you can't slap people. Maybe there's another side to it, but that one's incredibly disturbing, and the person, if it's correct what they did, should actually face serious consequences. Likewise, if the home invasion, if you went into someone's home without permission, that's a criminal offence. So there should be consequences there. It is unclear, and the candidate herself has said she doesn't think it was that they were against her politics. They think it's just because she was a young Maori candidate. And there are questions around how did they know where she lived, why were they doing it, etc. That's not quite clear to me.
I've got to be honest, mate. The lot I've seen of it, David, looks bloody dodgy. I mean, it's, we don't know if it was personal or political, really, do we?